Time for another automatic knife review by Nutnfancy. It's been a while since I've reviewed an auto knife, and there has been some interest, so here comes one for you. This is a Piranha Bodyguard. Look at that cool logo they got too, that Piranha logo. That's really cool. This is a great choice for EDC automatic knife carry. And I'm going to be a little bit reticent about recommending it for tactical, i.e. emergency defensive use. I'll tell you why as the review goes on. But let's hit the high points first. And one of the high points on this very nicely designed auto knife is it's super lightweight. This knife is only 2.8 ounces. And it's an automatic knife, coil-fired automatic knife. That's cool. By the way, all the legal requirements that I've said before still apply for any auto knife review I do, and I might paste it in the description there as well as a reminder. If you're law enforcement, military, you can get them. If not, I don't know. It might be tough. Enough said about that. Let's first talk. We talked about the weight. Look how compact this thing is too. It's very narrow for an auto knife, and it's short overall length. Let me get a Swiss Army Cadet out here for some size comparison, and you can kind of see what we're looking. This is one I've used before, but there's a little bit of size comparison for you. A Swiss Army Cadet versus a Piranha Bodyguard. It's a small knife. The blade itself is only 3.3 inches long. Right there, spear point blade. So lightweight, also fast. You saw how quick that came out for an auto knife. I think that's pretty quick. Nice lockup. Well, more or less. That's a criticism I'm going to level to the design. Is a lot of Piranha designs to have this problem. I've handled a lot of them. There's just a little bit of wiggle in the lockup. This is probably the tightest Bodyguard I've handled. I've handled about 5 or 6 of them. And all of the other ones had more wiggle side to side than this one. Now, it's an innovative thing, I guess, that it doesn't have a pivot screw here. It's kind of a pivotless handle set design. It makes for a clean look, that's for sure. But how do we adjust that? We can't adjust the side to side. That sucks. I'd much prefer to have a screw showing here so I can adjust it. How's it up and down? That lock's tight. There's no movement at all this way. It's just a little bit of side-to-side play. And I've seen that with a lot of different Piranha designs. I don't know why they cannot square that away. They should. Let's talk about the blade. They use a really good steel here, S30V, that crucible metal. You know, the wonder child of the knife world currently. It's expensive too. S30V is expensive, generally speaking. But holds an edge good rust resistance. I have not used this knife hard, nor probably will I ever. Just won't do it. Because I got other blades that serve that function better. How does it come out of the box? Adequately sharp. It could stand to be touched up. I haven't done that yet. Not too bad. I'm not a super fan of a spear point blade for EDC carry. I'll just tell you that. It's because I've tried it. Namely in I think it was a CRKT M16 EDC knife. I carried that for a long time. I just don't like it. I like more belly on my EDC knives, and just because it's handy, this M4 Carson, you know, there's a lot of belly right there towards the tip. So that's how I'm cutting with my EDC tasks. I suspect you are too. You know, we cut things, we kind of do that. And having a spear point blade or a Warncliffe style blade doesn't lend itself to that style of cutting. This blade here is primarily designed for one thing, and that's stabbing, thrust cutting. I mean, honestly, that's what it is. Now, that being said, there's going to be a contingent of dudes out there that go, you know what? I use spear point blades. I love them. I've had great luck with them, EDC. Rock on, man. Nutnfancy says, you know, to each his own. We all have our opinions, and that's cool. And that's why, actually, I said, like I did at the very beginning of this could actually be an EDC knife for you. Another thing I didn't mention is on a spear point or maybe a Warncliffe blade, you're going to get, in my opinion and in my experience, more accurately said, more wear towards the tip. Because as we do that kind of a rotational draw cut, you know, since we don't have the belly to absorb that, guess what takes it? Your tip. Your tip's just going to get just a little bit more wear in my experience. But that being said, as far as spear point blades go, this is a good looking blade. But it's also small. 3.3 inches is not very long. And it could serve in an emergency tactical or emergency defensive. Those are synonymous terms for Nutnfancy. Role. I mean, yeah, you could defend your life with this blade, no doubt. But I'm going to tell you a little bit of a disadvantage on the handle here in a second. And just speaking of the reach, I think 3.3 inches is just a little bit on the small side. For my liking, I'd prefer to have a little more reach than that. A little bit more. But again, your preferences may be different. Nice finish on that, by the way. It's that black titanium finish that ProTech does. Very nice looking. I love it. I like bright finishes too. I can go with either one. Talked about the lockup. Talked about the blade shape a little bit. There's no jimping on the handle at all. And that gets to another critique on the design. And that is, it's a beautifully finished handle. I mean, this matte, semi-matte finish they put on the aluminum. I think it's 7000 series aluminum handle. I'm sorry, it's T6 alloy. They do a great job on it, but it's slick. It does not give you a lot of traction. And lacking the jimping on the bottom and top for these flared ends, these are your finger guards here in this design, it's just a slick handle. That coupled with the limited reach of the Bodyguard, I'd be a little bit hesitant to carry it for defensive use, truth be told. That's just me, though. EDC, rock on. Collectability, you betcha. This is a cool knife to collect. Here's your clip, by the way, towards the back. Same criticism I always say. Why don't you mount that higher, Piranha? That way this thing buries itself in the pocket and disappears. Should you have to carry it tactically, you know, I don't like anything exposed, especially if I'm undercover or something like that, where I don't want people to know that I'm packing a knife. I don't like it sticking out of my pocket. Call me crazy. Not a flow-through design. As you can see, you might get some crud down there. Maybe one day you might have to take it apart. Could you do that? Well, let's take a look. Yeah, you got screws there. You can take it apart. Watch where everything flies, though. You might need those pieces. Automatic knives are a complete nightmare to put back together. Been there, done that. Don't recommend it unless you absolutely have to. But overall, the look and the coolness factor. Remember, I talk about two kinds of cool. The first cool is practicality. How well does a design serve in its intended role, especially against other competitive offerings? I've talked about some limitations on this design already, but the other kind of cool is intrinsic enjoyment. How much enjoyment will it give you just having the device? Gun, knife, backpack, boots, cars, I don't know, whatever it is. And I will say the Bodyguard is a very fun and cool knife. You will sit for hours just popping the blade out. It's fun. Auto knives are fun. But they're not, getting back to the first kind of cool, practicality. There's a lot of manual folders that do just as good a job as autos do as far as speed. And actually, they usually do it for cheaper. Now, I will say, as far as auto knives go, this Piranha Bodyguard is relatively inexpensive. So $135 for a quality built automatic knife, that's reasonable. I mean, honestly, that's about as good as you can expect. And yeah, I don't know why auto knives are always more expensive. They just are. So that is the Bodyguard Auto by Piranha. It's a cool knife. It is a spear point design, which in my opinion is a little bit limited for EDC, but functional. Emergency tactical, yeah. Improvements could be, Piranha, get your lockup squared away, please. On all your knives, not just this one. Make it tight. I mean, really tight. Like Benchmade. I mean, most Benchmade autos I've ever seen, and I've shown you guys, have super tight lockups. Also, jimping could be employed here. Purposeful jimping that works. I'll probably put some skateboard tape here. That would pretty much solve the problem, at least on this side. Can't really do it on that side. So, cool knife. Yeah, it's got two kinds of cools. It's practical, and it's just enjoyable to collect and to have. That's a Piranha Bodyguard. Just a quick review. Wow. That was relatively quick for Nutnfancy. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Sure appreciate it. Hope this helps you auto knife buyers. See ya.